Hey church, welcome to our second devotional video on 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, which says, "For God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and self-control." Today we're going to be talking about that second one. We're going to be talking about love and how we have a spirit of love. God gives us a spirit of love and how it is the absolute opposite of fear. Now, in church we talk about love all the time. Do you know, we either talk about God's love for us, it's in all of our teaching, it's in all of our worship songs. We talk about how for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. We talk about how we can love God, how it's the ultimate act of worship is to love and obey God. Jesus says that the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind, with all of your strength. We talk about love in terms of loving others. It's a way of serving and loving God, is to love others, to serve them. And how Jesus says the second greatest commandment is to love others as we love ourselves. And so it's so ingrained in our culture, we just kind of think that, you know, I've got this, I've got it down. I don't really need to think about it, I just need to live in it. But I do think there's a couple more things that we can really learn from love, and specifically the relationship between love and fear. Now, 1 John chapter 4 verse 18 says, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear in love. You cannot be acting out of fear and love at the same time. You're either acting out of one or the other. You're acting out of one or the other. But what does acting out of fear actually look like when it comes to love? How it's the opposite of love. What does it look like? A guy called Joel Virgo, he runs a big church down in Brighton, a couple of weeks ago did a sermon and he said something really profound. He said that the opposite of love, if you're going to act out the opposite of love, it isn't hatred or anger. It isn't these negative emotions. The opposite of love is indifference. It's to do nothing. That's the opposite of love. Imagine, you're in a relationship with someone, you're married to someone, and they cheat on you. You're obviously going to act and feel emotion out that hurts. You're going to feel anger and you're going to be upset. You're going to be despairing. You're going to be really sad. That's not the opposite of love. That comes out of that love and that trust that you built up with that person. But if instead you said, "Nah, I don't care," then anyone looking in can easily see that you didn't really love that person in the first place. And you see, Satan gets us to do exactly the same thing. We were talking in the last video about how fear is the chief weapon of the enemy. How fear is the chief weapon of the enemy. And think about it, when we want to go and love someone, when we say, "God, I just really pray for this person, I just really pray they will come to know you, please give me an opportunity to evangelize to them, they're one of my best friends, I just really want them to be in the kingdom." And then you finally get that opportunity. What does Satan try and make us do? He puts fear into our hearts. And then the chief weapon of fear isn't to then have fear and then lash out and be angry. The chief weapon of fear is to do nothing. The opposite of loving that person, the opposite of giving them the gospel in that opportunity, is to do nothing. And it's the same for me. I'll go and worship God, and I'll set some time aside for him, and I'll worship him, and I'll praise him, I'll read my Bible, and I'll pray. And there's this draw on me that I need my phone with me because I fear missing out on what's going on in my friend's life, in the world, if I miss a message or if I miss a phone call, if I miss what's going on social media. And in the end, I always just end the session by just picking up my phone and just going through it. And I finished worshipping early because I wanted to look at my phone because it was a distraction, but I only had it in the room because I was fearing. And you see how that's the opposite of loving God. I could spend time with my Creator. I could spend time worshipping and loving him and growing in him, and he can make me fruitful, and I'll be storing up my reward for myself in heaven. Or I can do nothing. I can just sit on my phone and do nothing. And honestly, that's what I end up doing. Now I just don't take my phone with me anywhere I go, whenever I know that I'm going to worship and praise God. Because I know that I had that fear of missing out, and I know that it will make me indifferent towards God eventually. And so maybe ask God this week or today for an opportunity to discern where you fear in life, where it makes you indifferent, and ask God to give you an opportunity to show love instead. So whether that's loving your family members that you're stuck in quarantine with, maybe that's loving neighbours, maybe that's loving your friends, maybe that's loving God. Pray for discernment over where Satan puts that fear of something in your heart and it makes you indifferent because it's sneaky. Pray for discernment about where fear enters, and then ask God for an opportunity to love. And you watch the fruit that comes out of it. God's chief weapon in this world is love. It's how he conquered sin. It's how he conquered death, was through love. So imagine what he could do through you when we no longer fear, but we love.